I never thought I'd be the guy sprinting through my neighborhood at 2 in the morning, chasing the president of the HOA while she clutched the only piece of evidence that could clear my name. But that's exactly where I found myself. And it all started with a silver Tesla stealing juice straight out of my solar grid. One second I was in bed, listening to the quiet hum of my house. And the next, I was watching blue, white sparks light up my driveway, her car belching smoke, and me standing there with a fire extinguisher, wondering how in the world my life had turned into this circus. And the worst part wasn't even the fire. It was hearing her scream that I had sabotaged her car, when all I'd done was save it from burning to the ground. My name's Ethan Moore. I'm a solar engineer, the kind of guy who lives by logic, circuits open or closed, stable or unstable. My house is my sanctuary, not just because of the peace and quiet, but because I built a system with my own 2 hands. Solar panels on the roof, a battery bank in the garage, and a charging station I wired myself, tuned to perfection. That charger was mine. It belonged to me, fed by my panels. Not a community toy, not a public utility. But living under the Oak Ridge HOA meant nothing was really yours if the president, Valerie Sharp, decided otherwise. She strutted around like the queen of the sack, fining folks for grass an inch too high, while her own hedges sprawled wherever they wanted. I used to think I could ignore her until the night I caught her using my charger like it was her personal gas station. The alert woke me with a shriek. It wasn't the smoke alarm. It wasn't the house system. It was my energy monitor, flashing red like my house had just been hacked. I pulled up the data. 48 amps, the exact maximum pull from my charger. But my car was sitting inside, full, untouched. I looked out the window, and there she was, Valerie Sharp, silk robe, slippers, arms crossed like she owned the place. Her Tesla tethered to my wall. My first reaction wasn't fear. It was disbelief. Who does this? Who sneaks into their neighbor's property and plugs in like they're borrowing a cup of sugar? I walked out barefoot, cool concrete under my feet, and asked her straight, "What are you doing?" She just smirked, waved her hand toward her car, and said, "Just topping off, Ethan. You know how it is." Like I was the crazy one for asking, when I told her it was private. She laughed, condescending, and said the word community like it gave her the right to rewrite the definition of theft. She even patted my charger like she was blessing it for the neighborhood. That was the moment I realized this wasn't about electricity. It was about control. I didn't yell. I didn't make a scene. I just told her to unplug. She crossed her arms, tilted her head, and said she needed 80% to get to her yoga retreat. And then, like a villain in a bad movie, she whispered, "Or what? You gonna call the cops on your HOA president?" That smug little challenge burned into me. I went back inside, and I knew this was war, not the kind with fists or bullets, but the kind with systems, layers, proof. I spent the next day turning my charger into a fortress, a steel lockbox, a hidden breaker, RFID tags only I controlled. Sarah, my wife, watched me with worried eyes, asking if I wasn't going too far. I told her the truth. When someone decides your property is theirs, every layer matters. I wasn't just protecting a charger, I was drawing a line in concrete. But that's the thing about people like Valerie. They see boundaries as invitations. A week later, sure enough, my phone buzzed. Unauthorized access attempt. I crept to the window. And there she was again. only this time dressed in black like some kind of burglar, holding a flimsy adapter. Not my charger this time. She'd found the weak link. A regular 120V outlet I used for Christmas lights. She jammed the adapter into her Tesla like she was forcing a key into the wrong lock. My gut twisted. Those cheap things were fire hazards. I wanted to run outside, to stop her. But a part of me stayed frozen. She'd pushed me too far, stolen too much. Maybe this time, she needed to learn the hard way. The sparks came fast. Sizzle, flash, smoke, and then the smell of melted plastic. Her Tesla hissed like a wounded animal. She screamed, stumbling back, eyes wide. My training kicked in. I grabbed the Class C extinguisher from my garage and blasted the flame out before it spread to the battery. When the smoke cleared, her car was scarred. The adapter, a blackened lump, fused to the charging port. She looked at me, not with shame or gratitude, but with venom. "You did this!" she shrieked, pointing a finger at me. I told her she was insane, that she had nearly set her own car on fire, but she was already spinning the story in her head. Then she spotted it, the little monitor box I'd installed, recording every watt and amp. She lunged, ripped the SD card out, and bolted across my lawn. That card was my truth, my shield, my only defense. Without it, it was just her word against mine. I dropped the extinguisher and chased her. We tore through backyards, over hedges, past garden gnomes. My neighbor Tom flicked on his porch light, shouting, "What's going on?" And I yelled back, "She stole my evidence!" Valerie was fast, desperation fueling her, but I was faster. Just as I closed the gap, headlights washed over us, red and blue lights flashing. A deputy stepped out, hand on his holster, eyes darting between me and Valerie. She switched instantly. Tears, sobs, hands up. "Officer, thank God. He attacked me. He tried to burn my car." I stood there, chest heaving, trying to calm my voice enough to explain. I told the deputy who I was, what had happened, how she'd stolen my SD card. He ordered her to open her fist, and when she finally unclenched, there it was, the tiny black square, the look on her face when he slid it into an evidence bag. That was the first crack in her crown. The fire marshal's report came back the next day. Third-party adapter failure. Not my system. My neighbors stepped up, one after another, offering security footage. Tom's doorbell cam caught her shouting lies at me. Mrs. Gable's porch cam captured the sparks and her fumbling with the adapter. I pieced it all together into a 2-minute video, the kind that didn't need narration. And just when I thought I could breathe, a news van pulled up. Some reporter had heard about the HOA scandal, president's Tesla catching fire, homeowner accused of sabotage. At first, I hesitated. But then I thought of all the times Valerie had bullied the block with her letters, her fines, her petty rules. Maybe the only way to fight a public lie was with the public truth. So I walked the reporter through it. My permits, my schematics, the fire marshal's note, the video. When it aired, the tide shifted. My phone rang non-stop. Neighbors cheering me on. People I barely knew saying it was about time someone stood up to her. But the real showdown wasn't on the evening news. It was at the HOA meeting 3 nights later. Normally, 10 bored people show up to talk about landscaping budgets. That night, the clubhouse was packed, standing room only. I walked in with Sarah at my side, laptop and projector under my arm. Valerie sat at the head of the table, pale, avoiding eye contact. She tried to rush through the agenda, pretending nothing was wrong, but when she mumbled, "No new business," I stood up. I have new business. The room went silent. She stammered, "You're not on the agenda." But the board members nodded at me to go ahead. I set up the projector, hit play, and let the video roll. Everyone saw it. The midnight trespass, the sparks, her screams, her ripping the SD card out of my box, the gasps, the murmurs, the shifting eyes. It was the sound of a community waking up. Valerie just sat there, staring at her hands. The queen stripped bare in front of her subjects. When it ended, I turned to the board. My voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the air. This isn't about electricity. It's about abuse of power. The person leading this association trespassed, stole, caused a fire, and then tried to frame me. That's a liability. That's a disgrace. Tom stood up and seconded my call for her removal. The vote was unanimous. Every hand went up. Valerie didn't even try to defend herself. She just glared at me, eyes full of rage, but powerless, and then shoved her chair back and walked out. No applause, no cheers, just the sound of her heels fading down the hall. And in that silence, I felt it. The line I'd drawn had held. My house was mine again, my name cleared, her power gone. That's how it ended. Not with celebration, but with a cold, quiet shift. The queen deposed, the community freed from her grip, and me standing there, steady, the evidence still glowing on the wall. And if there's one thing I learned from all of it, it's this: no matter how loud the lies get, the truth always finds its stage. Remember that. Because here on HOA Drama Unfolded, that's the only ending that matters.